I still feel weird when I think about that night. My name is Claire, and I used to be not a great sister. I didn't think I was mean. I just thought I was honest. You know? Like, someone has to say the truth. My brother Luke, he never really did anything with his life. At least that's what I told myself. He dropped out of community college, quit a bunch of jobs, never had a serious girlfriend. At family dinners, he'd just stand by the wall and not say much. And I don't know why, but that always annoyed me. Maybe because I worked hard. I had a good job. I was engaged to this amazing guy. I wanted everyone to see that I made it. And Luke, he was like this quiet reminder that not everyone does. So yeah, I talked about him a lot. At holidays, at birthdays, I'd say things like Luke's still figuring it out or not everyone's meant to succeed. People would laugh a little. He never said anything back. I thought that meant I was right. The night everything changed was my engagement party. We were at my parents' house. Maybe 40 people. Lots of food. Lots of drinks. My fiancé Derek was there. He's a Navy SEAL. Very disciplined. Very quiet too, actually. But when he talks, people listen. I was feeling good. Maybe too good. I'd had some champagne. And then I saw Luke, standing in the corner like always. Same gray sweater. Same empty hands. And I raised my glass for a toast. I don't know why I said it. I really don't. But the words just came out. And then there's my brother, I said. Prove that not everyone finds their path. Some people laughed. Not everyone. My mom looked down. But I kept going. He tried different things. Nothing really stuck. I guess someone has to be the failure in the family. I said the word failure out loud. In front of everyone. Luke didn't react. He just looked at me. No anger. No sadness. Nothing. I remember thinking, see? He doesn't even care. But Derek cared. I didn't notice at first. But he stopped smiling. And he kept looking at Luke. Not in a mean way. In a curious way. I should have shut up. But I didn't. Later that night, someone asked Derek about being a SEAL. You know how it goes. People are always curious. Where did you train? What was the hardest thing? He answered everything. Calm. Professional. Never bragged. Then he asked a question back. He turned away from the person who asked him and looked straight at Luke. Where did you serve? Derek said. At first I thought he was joking. Or maybe he meant someone else. I laughed and said, oh. Luke didn't serve. Nothing special. Derek didn't even look at me. He kept his eyes on my brother. And Luke. Luke looked back at him. And after a few seconds he said, joint operations. A while back. That's it. 6 words. Quiet. Like he was telling someone the time. I didn't understand what that meant. But Derek did. His whole body changed. He stood up straighter. His jaw tightened. He took one step toward Luke, and then he saluted him, right there, in the middle of my engagement party. My fiancé, a Navy SEAL, saluting my brother who I just called a failure. The room went completely silent. I mean, you could hear someone breathing across the room. My mom dropped her wine glass. Nobody moved. I said, Derek, what are you doing? He didn't answer me. He kept his hand up for a few seconds. Then he lowered it and said, sir, you were part of that unit. Luke nodded. Just once. I was so confused. What unit? What is he talking about? Derek finally turned to me. And his face, I'd never seen that look before. It wasn't anger. It was disappointment. Like he just realized something about me that he didn't want to know. You never told me, he said. Told you what? I said, I didn't know. He never told anyone anything. Derek looked at Luke. Then he looked at everyone in the room. And he said, they don't talk about men like him publicly. Because they don't need to. The things they did, there are no medals for it. No parades. Some of the bravest people I know have no records at all. He paused. Luke was one of them. I felt sick. My ears were ringing. I looked at my brother. The same brother who never fought back. Who never defended himself. Who let me call him a failure for years. And I realized something that made me want to disappear. He wasn't quiet because he was weak. He was quiet because he had seen things I couldn't even imagine. And he didn't owe me an explanation. Ever. Someone whispered, joint operations? Like Black Ops. Nobody answered. I tried to grab Derek's arm. He let me, but he didn't hold my hand back. He just stood there, looking at Luke like he was seeing a ghost. Why didn't you ever say anything? I asked Luke. My voice was shaking. Luke looked at me for a long time. Then he said, very softly, because you never asked. You were too busy telling me who I was. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. Everyone was watching. My perfect engagement party. My perfect fiancé. My perfect labels, all of it shattered by 6 words and a salute. The party ended early after that. People left quietly. My dad shook Luke's hand for a really long time. My mom hugged him and cried. I just stood there. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know who I was anymore. Later, when almost everyone was gone, Luke came into the kitchen. I was standing by the sink, pretending to clean a glass. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't look at him. He didn't say it's okay right away. He just stood there, and the silence was so loud. Then he said, that's okay. Most people don't understand. Not forgiveness, but not rejection either. Just acceptance. I finally turned around. Why didn't you ever tell me? All those years. You could have shut me up so fast. Luke leaned against the fridge. He looked tired, because what I did wasn't for labels, he said. I didn't serve so people would respect me at parties. I served so people like you could have parties. So you could laugh and drink champagne and call people failures without ever knowing what real danger feels like. He paused. If I had told you, you would have put me in a different box. The hero box. But that's not who I am either. I'm just someone who did a job. And then I came home and kept quiet. Derek walked in then. He stood next to Luke, not next to me. I should have known, Derek said to Luke. The way you move. The way you watch a room. You're not a failure. You're the reason people like me come home. Luke just shrugged. We both did our part. Then Derek turned to me. He wasn't mean, but he was honest. Before we get married, he said, I need you to understand something. Words like failure and success, they don't mean anything to people who've been through real darkness. The strongest people I know have no titles, no applause, just a quiet promise to protect people who will never thank them. I nodded. What else could I do? That night, I didn't sleep. I just laid there next to Derek, thinking about every cruel thing I'd ever said to Luke. The next morning, I drove to his apartment. He was sitting on the porch with coffee, watching the sunrise. I sat down next to him. I don't expect you to forget, I said, but I want you to know. I see you now. Not the label I made up, just you. He looked at me for a second. Then he nodded. That's a start. We sat there for a while. Neither of us talked. And for the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel awkward. It just felt real. Here's what I learned. And I'm not saying this to sound wise. I'm saying it because I lived it. We spend so much time putting people in boxes. Success, failure, winner, loser. It makes us feel better about ourselves. But the truth is, the people who carry the heaviest weight don't wear it on their shoulders. They hide it, not because they're ashamed, but because they know that real strength doesn't need applause. My brother didn't need to prove anything to me. He just lived his life, quietly, patiently, while I shouted about mine, and in the end, it wasn't my words that mattered. It was a Navy SEAL's salute. That salute didn't just honor Luke, it showed everyone in that room, including me, who the real failure was not. The man who served in silence, the woman who was too busy judging to ask a single honest question. If you've ever been labeled unfairly, or if you've ever done the labeling, just take a moment to look at the quiet people in your life. The ones who never brag, the ones who listen more than they talk. They might not wear a uniform, but they might be the reason you're still safe enough to judge.